Hello and welcome. In this video we'll start to review the Work Coordinate System, WCS for short. Now the WCS is the active coordinate system in use by Mastercam at any given time. The WCS contains the orientation of the X, Y, Z axis and the 0 point. In this video we'll learn about views and construction planes. I'm going to create the text you can see on each side of this part using different construction planes. Now on the screen is a rectangle 3x4 by 2 inches thick. The origin, that's the X0, Y0, Z0, is at the lower left corner, and I've got the grid displayed. And in the lower left corner of the screen, the axis tripod that denotes the direction of X, Y and Z. Now also on this part we've got a chamfer 0.5 by 45 degrees and a 0.25 fillet rad, and as you can see there's text on each one of the sides of this part. Now I'm going to start a new part and recreate the geometry and then manipulate the graphics views and construction planes to input the text on the sides of this object. So let's get started and begin a new part. I'm going to move up to the top left of the screen, click on the icon for new part. First thing I'm going to do is create a 4x3 rectangle. I'm going to click on the icon for create rectangle. Now on the ribbon bar I'm going to click in the space for width, I'm going to input 4, then hit the tab button on my keyboard, and here we are over in the height section. I'm going to input 3 and then hit enter. Now to satisfy this prompt on the screen, select position of first corner. I'm going to move down to the center of the grid and pick this point, X0, Y0, Z0. So we're done here. So back up, I'm going to click on the OK. Now I'm just going to move on up to the top and click on Screen Fit, and then just slide over to the right and do an unzoom 0.8. Next up I'm going to create this chamfer 1/2 inch by 45. Create, chamfer, entities. For the distance, I'm going to click in the space there and input 0.5 and hit enter. And to satisfy this prompt on the screen, I'm going to pick this line and this line. So we're looking good. Going to move on up and click on OK on the ribbon bar. Next up is that fillet, 1/4 inch fillet, lower right corner. I'm going to click on the icon for fillet entities. The radius is set up at 0.25, and I'm just going to move on down and select these two lines. Looks good. Going to pick OK. Next up I'm going to get an isometric view, do a screen fit and hit unzoom 0.8 a couple of times. Now what we're going to do now is translate all this geometry up in Z 2 inches. I'm going to go into Xform and right at the top Xform translate. Now I'm prompted to translate, select entities to translate. What I'm going to do is pick a point here, drag a window, and we've captured all the entities. Now to move on to the next stage, just over on the right I'm going to click on End Selection, and now we're confronted with the Translate dialog box. Right at the top of the screen I'm going to click on Join. Now just below in the Delta section I'm going to click in Z and input a value of 2. Just hit enter. Everything's looking good. I'm going to pick OK. Now I'm going to move on up over onto the top right and click on Clear Colors. Next up I'm going to do a screen fit and a couple of unzooms 0.8. So there's our geometry. Now I'm going to create a few dimensions just to keep us on track as we change the construction planes. Now down below on the status bar we have a toggle switch, 2D, 3D. Now this toggles between 2D and 3D construction modes. In 2D mode all the geometry is created parallel to the current construction plane. At the current system Z depth. So our construction plane at the moment is top, and the Z depth is 0. Now in 3D mode, you can work freely in various Z depths unconstrained by the current system Z depth and construction plane settings. Now I'm going to create this 4-inch dimension with the 3D toggle mode on. So let's go into Create, Drafting, Dimension. I'm going to pick horizontal. I'm going to pick this point, and for my second point I'm going to pick this guy here. And I'm going to place the dimension right there and pick OK. Now let me do this dimension again, but before I do it I'm going to toggle to 2D, and let's see now what's going to happen. So the construction plane is top, Z depth is 0. So over on the right in the MRU, the most recently used toolbar, I'm going to click on horizontal dimension. Now as before, I'm going to pick this point, and for my second point, just like I did last time, I'm going to pick this point, and look where the dimension goes now, at the current construction plane, and the Z depth is set to 0. I'm going to do an undo. I'm going to toggle back to 3D. Let's do another dimension. Create, Drafting, Dimension. I'm going to pick vertical. I'm going to pick this point and this point here and place the dimension over there. Looks good. Now next up I'm going to put in that 2-inch vertical dimension. Now I'm going to move on down and open up planes, and I'm going to change my construction plane to front. There it is. You can see the grid has moved, and down below, construction plane front. Now over on the right I'm going to click on the icon for vertical dimension. I'm going to pick this point, and then slide the dimension over there. I'm done here. Going to click on OK. Now let's get an isometric view. There we go, and as you can see, construction plane now is top, and just a reminder, the Z depth is at 0. Now before I start creating the text, what I'm going to do is just change the colour. So on the status bar, I'm going to click on System Colour and pick red and pick OK. Now the first piece of text I'm going to put on is on this top surface, which is at a height of 2 inches. Now the construction plane is top, exactly what we want. What I'm going to do for this Z depth, I'm going to click in here and change it to 2. As you can see, there's the grid, 2 inches high. Let's go and create those letters now. Create letters. Now over on the right of this dialog box, I'm going to shrink the text down to 0.375, and over on the left here I'm going to type in top. I'm going to pick OK, and I'm going to pick this position here. I'm going to hit escape, and there's our first piece of text. Now next up, let's put some text on this right end, on this right faced. So what I'm going to do is click on construction planes and select right. Now as you can see, this grid, the depth is not quite right yet. I need to change the depth to 4. Looks better. Let's go back into letters. I'm going to type in right and pick OK and pick a point here. Looks good. Going to hit escape. Let's now do the front. Once again into planes. Going to pick front. Now as you can see, the grid is way out in left field here. Reason being is I've got my Z value set to 4. Going to change that to 0. There we go. It's back into letters. Going to type in front and now pick OK. Bingo. Looks good. Going to hit escape. Let's do the letters now on the left side. Going to pick left. I can spin it around, just holding down the middle button on my mouse. I'm going to go back into letters, going to type in left, going to pick OK. I'm going to pick a point here. Going to hit escape. Let's get an isometric view. Looking good. Now, construction plane is set to top. We've got our Z depth at 0. Let's put the text on this back face. So once again, I'm going to go into planes and select back. Now, as you can see, the construction plane is set to back, but our Z depth is 0. So I'm going to click in Z and input a value of 3. So that looks better. Let's change the view. Let's change it to back. Going to click on letters. Going to type in back. Going to pick OK. I'm going to pick a point here. Looks good. Hit escape. Going to get an ISO view. Next up, let's put those letters on the bottom. So, my Z depth, first of all, I'm going to change that to 0. Planes, going to change that to bottom. So as you can see, construction plane is bottom. And let's go into G view and pick bottom view. Going to do a screen fit. And let's create letters. Going to type in bottom. Looks good. Going to hit escape. Isometric view. And there's all our letters. Looks good. And that completes this video. Thanks a lot for watching.